Guys, we'll start in a couple of minutes. Okay, we'll start here. Just give one more minute to others to join. Okay. So last time we discussed matrix. Yeah, we discussed matrix.
I have few queries in matrix. Shall I ask?
Go ahead.
Yeah, okay. So I'm little confused between the sprint forecast accuracy and
Hmm.
task completion rate,
Hmm.
because both gives us the percentage.
Hmm.
So
See, task completion is your overall tasks. Forecast is your in forecasting, sprint forecasting, you only take committed story points versus actual story points done. Task completion rate is done on overall task basis. It could also include task, bugs, all those things here.
okay, so forecast accuracy is only like we use
Hmm.
points to measure it.
We use only points to measure it. That is correct. And nothing else.
Okay.
Okay. Any other whatever we have to. Okay, I think we can start here. Okay. I think I've waited enough. Okay, we'll talk about it if you want more clarification. Uh, so I'm going to start talking about burn up and burn down charts, which are the two major charts that you are going to be using. So wait, let me share my screen. Okay. So I'm going to go a little bit in detail on the burn down because that's the main chart which the Scrum Masters use. The burn down is for burn up is mostly for the release managers and agile coaches. You guys are able to see the screen, right? Okay. So this is the burn down chart. Okay. Burn down chart basically tracks your sprint progress. It has only one line. This gray line is an ideal line. Forget about it for now. The only one line is there that is of notice in this chart, which is the remaining work line. How much work is pending on a day-to-day basis? So on the x-axis, we take days. So these are days, day 1, day 2, day 3. So this is a 10-day sprint. So this is the on the x-axis, we will take days, number of days, and on the y-axis, we will take story points. It's a very simple chart. And then there will be only one line. This red line is basically how many points are remaining for the team to do, remaining work. So burn down chart tracks the remaining work. That's it. This is it. But it is such a powerful tool. One look at it. If you can read this chart properly, you can know what is happening with your team easily. How? Let's see. So if you look at this sprint started on February 22. This is, I think, I can zoom it. You guys should be able to see. On day one was February 22. The day March 7th was the last day of the sprint. Okay. Then how many points were committed on day one? 48 points. This team started with a commitment of 48 points, which means on your Jira board, they would have moved all your stories here and there, and then they would have zeroed in on the 48 points. They have taken stories worth 48 points. We start with, so on day one, 48 points are remaining. On day two, they might have done one story here and there. If you look at on day three, this has reached to 38, which means stories worth 10 points are done in 3 days. Then nothing happened here. Then again, something got closed here. Then from this day to this day, nothing happened. No work was closed. This is a flat line. Then stepwise is beautiful. If it's a stepwise formation, it is nice. Something got closed on this day, something got closed on this day, something got closed on this day. And on the last day, they were able to complete everything. If you look at the last day is this, the second last day, they have 0 points to burn. In Agile, if I say my team has done 30 points of work, in Agile, we say my team has burned 30 points of work. So doing work, they call it burning work. Just a fancy name of doing work. If I say my team has done 30 points of work, in Agile, we'll say my team has burned 30 points of work. Burning is nothing but doing work. Is this clear? So don't be scared of this word burning. Burning means doing points. So I have 48 on day one. I have 48 points to burn, which means I have 48 points to do. On the last day of this sprint, I have 0 points to burn, which means I have done all my work. So this is on a very basic level. We'll see different interpretations of it. So this gray line is an ideal line of work, which means if there are 50 points of work and you have 10 days, if you do 5 points every day, you will complete your sprint, you will complete your work. So they would have plotted all those 5 points, 5 points. This is just an indication of if the team is in the right direction or not. If the team is under this line, then we are going at a faster pace than what is required. If it is above the gray line, then it means we are going at a slower pace than what is ideal. So this is not too important, but in interview, some idiot can ask you, what is gray line on this chart? Or a gray line is nothing but ideal burn up chart, in burn down chart, in the sense it shows the if we have to burn 50 points, ideally we should burn 5 points every day. But in real life, you are not going to burn 5 points every day. There will be some story which is going to get done on day 3, some on day 5, some on day 6, some on day 8, like that. But they may ask you. Okay, so one line is there only on this chart: x-axis days, y-axis story points. And this is a chart which tracks down the progress of work on a sprint level. Okay, now let us see. Now let us see different kinds of charts, 2-3 different kinds of charts. Okay, so if you look at this day one, 48 points to burn. This is a very simple looking chart, but it tells me a lot about stories. On day 1, day 2, day 3. On day 3, they closed the story. So from 48 till about this is 32 or something. They closed probably a 13 pointer or something. Then again, nothing was closed. A flat horizontal line means nothing is getting closed in Jira. Either nothing is getting closed in Jira or they are not working, something like that. Assuming the team is working, but they did not close anything. Then suddenly on March 2nd, they closed few more points. Then suddenly on the second last day, last day, whatever it was, they closed another thing. One look at this chart, it is very simple. They are doing very large stories. The stories are not small, and probably they have only 3 or 4 stories. One story, second story, third story. And one look at this, I know, okay, this team is, they are not sizing it properly. They are not splitting into small stories. They are, although they are doing 48 points, but the stories are a very large stories. Okay, let's see another line. Now this is a very, see, this, if you look at this chart, this red line is very close to this gray line. This is perfect. In real life, hardly any team is going to be working like this. Maybe 1 or 2 sprints here and there. But this is a very nice, this is a perfect chart actually. Now, if you look at this chart, this gray line is ideal line of work. Okay, this is like if in a 20 over game we are chasing 150. So the ideal race that we make 7.5 runs every over. But we are not going to make 7.5 runs every over, right? So this is something like 7.5 runs every over. So if a over goes, which you score more than 7.5 runs, that is below this. If it goes, if we make only 5 runs, it will be over it. So this is just an indication what is your ideal run rate kind of a scenario. Okay, so now this, if you look at this chart, this, it is below the gray line for a lot of periods, which means team is doing work which is faster than the ideal rate. This is good. This is very good, isn't it? This is good, right? But if they keep doing it sprint after sprint, there is a problem. They are taking less stories than they can handle. So this team took 48 points of work and they completed this was the last day, or when they completed 2 days or 3 days before their sprint closure. Very good. But if in the next sprint this happens, in the next to next sprint this happens, or in the last 5 sprints, 4 sprints you see this trend, this means they can do much more. They can do probably 60 or 80 points, but they are doing it less. So if the trend is like this, they are able to complete their work early, and in every sprint, which means they are not taking work as per their full capacity. Then let's this. So this is a chart which you will see very, very common in a lot of bad organizations, or organizations which not teams that are not performing well. Even if the teams are performing well, sometimes you can see this. So on day 1, they started with 48 points. Day 2 was good. This was fine. Till third day, it was beautiful. When suddenly, from third day onwards, nothing happened till last day. So 2 cases. Case number 1, either development server got crashed, or everybody, it could be some deployment issues. There could be some trouble. Or, which is most likely, team does not update its Jira. Suddenly on the last day, Scrum Master screams, "Hey boss, we are not closing stories. What is happening to your stories? These stories are in review, in testing. What is happening?" Suddenly on the last day, they close these stories. And this is a typical chart of those teams who do not update their Jira tickets. A flat horizontal line. They may ask you in the interview, what does a flat horizontal line mean? It means that either the work is blocked, the work is not getting done, there is some blocker, or the team is not updating its Jira tickets. Yes, Chavan sir, you had a question here. Can I complete?
So
Yes.
previous actually chart. Can you go previous chart?
Hmm.
Yeah, okay. In this chart, actually, team can take more work
See, in
within that
this
sprint.
in this case, if you look at this, they completed work 2 days prior to the closure of the sprint. Correct?
Yes.
They started on February 2nd and the last day was March 6th. Instead of completing it on March 6th, they completed it on March 4th. While it may be that they found great solutions to their stories and they could do it easily, which is good, no problem, beautiful. But if that is consistently happening, that means there is some problem in the team. They are not picking up stories. Maybe they can do 80 points, but they are only picking up 50 points.
Yeah, true.
This is the reason why they are able to finish it early, sprint after sprint, which means they are underestimating the stories.
Okay. But in between, actually, they can take additional work. I mean, additional story. No, no.
No, see,
Okay.
you look at this chart for one sprint, this is fine. If it happens in the second sprint, then you raise a concern. If it happens again in the third sprint, then definitely, if see, you have 10 days of work. If you are completing in every sprint, you are completing on the 8th day or 7th day, which means we are losing out on 2 days of bandwidth, isn't it? We can do more stories.
Yes. No, but if it is on the 7 day, actually, work is completed, then next 2 days, what team
No,
will do?
no, that no, I am not. That's a separate question. The question here is that what if it is happening on a random sprint, that is fine. They may have done a very good job of a story. People may have worked hard on a couple of days. That's fine. That can happen. But if consistently they are losing on 2 or 3 days, which means they are not taking up the optimum amount of work that they can handle.
Okay.
Now to your this question, if this happens, what do we do for those 2 days? You could end up doing more groomings, or you could end up having fun sessions. You could end up doing training sessions. You can do a RCA on complex bugs. You can do more documentation. You can have architecture session. There are number of ways that you can utilize those 2 days.
Okay.
Training needs root cause analysis, future planning, more grooming, fun sessions, anything. Yes. Even you can give them a 3 or 4 hour, half a day off. That's also fine. Let us say they are coming out of a very rigorous 2, 3, 4 sprints. They are very tired. What are you going to do? Give them half a day off. That is also fine.
Sir, one question. There is a possibility like team is overestimating.
We'll come to that. Let me complete this, then we'll come to that.
No, in this scenario only, I'm asking. If
No,
let's
if
say
they are,
there,
what do you mean by overestimating?
I mean, let's say story is only for 3 points, but they are estimating as 8 story points.
Yes, and they are closing it early. Correct, correct.
Okay.
Absolutely correct. Okay, now let's go to this. You got it. Then let's go to this one. If you look at this chart, this was fine till this. Then again a flat line, then another flat line, and then nothing, which means they could not complete their work on the last day. See, what is the gap? This is I think 24. So 24 points of work is still pending with this team. Most likely there is some blockage here. There is something happened to the team on from February 7th till now for a week. They slowed down here, then they completed just, this is 25 and this is maybe 2-pointer here. They closed a 2-pointer here. From if you look at this, on February 27th, 26 points of work was remaining, and on the last day, virtually 24 points is remaining. So for last 6 days, they did just 2 points of work. There is some serious problem here. So one look at this chart and a Scrum Master can easily make out if things are going well or there is some problem in the team. Then let's take, now look at this chart. This is the ideal way. If it is below, team is faster. If it is above, this is slower. This interpretation is clear. Burn down chart is a chart which tracks how much work is pending. It has only one line, red line, which shows how many story points of work is pending. Then it has another line, which is a gray line. If this red line is above it, the team is going slower than what is required. If it is lower than the gray line, then it is faster than the ideal rate. In this case, the team was slower than the ideal rate, but which is fine. They still have downward sloping curves. If you look at this team had a problem on day 3, something was added, but they still managed to complete their work on the last day. They were slower than the ideal rate, but still they were able to manage all their tasks and they were able to complete their things. So these are different interpretations of this chart. One look at this chart and you would know what is happening with the team. Whether the team is overestimating, underestimating. In this case, maybe there is a, where is this? Maybe there is an, in the other case, which was here, in this case, it was overestimating the task. In this case, there might be underestimation of the task. Maybe they picked on 20 pointers and this was a 20. They did what they did, but this was a 20 pointer. There were 2 20 pointers or 1 20 pointer and a 3 pointer. The team could not complete its 20 pointer story. It was way too big for them to complete. Although they worked very hard, but still this chart shows that they could not complete their work. Most likely they could have picked up, if there is no blocker, they might have picked a 20 pointer story, which they could not complete. In that case, the solution is very simple. They could have splitted that story into 2 or 3 parts, and that way this chart would have looked better. So this chart gives you a real good indication of what is happening in the team. Now, from an interview perspective, you have to say that you use sprint burn down to understand how the team is progressing. It tells you on a day-to-day basis whether the team is doing enough work or not. If there are horizontal flat lines, then there could be a problem. And if this is the case, a vertical line on the second last day or last day, which means your team is not updating its Jira tickets. They are doing work, because that's why on last day it is, there is another reason. They might be updating Jira ticket, they might not be updating Jira tickets, that is one, or under pressure, without respecting DoD, they are closing everything. That could also happen. This is the last day, you want to show everything is done, whether it is completed, not completed, they don't care, they complete everything. That also is a possibility. If you go to any team and they are not performing well, you look at their burn down. This is how you will find them. Very common chart. Okay. Is this clear? Can I move further? Okay, very good. So burn down is a very important chart. So I did it in a little bit detail. They could ask you these things.
Sir, one small doubt actually. Sorry,
Yeah.
I understood what you said. Only that ideal I didn't get how you calculate the ideal line. That is the only thing I didn't get.
Very simple, yeah. We have to do 50 points.
Okay.
So if I burn 5 points every day, then that's I will burn 10 points, 50 points in 10 days, isn't it? So it is something like that. What an ideal burning rate at which the team should do so that they can complete their task. So this is just a rough indicator. If my line is above it, I'm going slower. If my line is below it, I'm going faster than what is required.
No, but this ideal line we decide, right? We decide.
No, this is given to you by Jira.
Okay, now I got it. Okay.
You got it, right? So if I have to go from Delhi to Chandigarh or A to B, and I have 300 kilometers to cover in 5 hours, so the ideal speed should be 60 kilometers per hour. If I am going at 70, 80, I am covering more distance. I'm better than what I should do. If I'm going at a 30 or 35 kilometers, I'm slower than what is required. Just a rough indicator.
Okay. I got it. Thanks.
Yeah.
And this
in
flat
Jira, it is,
horizontal line is non-working days. Is it like that?
Sorry?
This horizontal line in the ideal, this one.
Sometimes these
non-
horizontal lines could also be your non-working days. Sometimes on Saturday, Sunday, it will have a see like this. No, not like this. See, these teams were doing well, but see this. No, not this way. This could be your weekend.
Okay.
And there's an option. I think these days you can exclude non-working days also. But that will be a very small this thing. But if it's a huge horizontal line, a very large one, then that definitely means either they are not closing stories or there are some blockers. Horizontal line means simple. Work is not getting closed in Jira. And this a vertical line on the last day, suddenly people are closing. So horizontal line, vertical line. Those two things, then it should be a nice downward sloping curve. Ideally, something like, no, wait, I'll show you. This is a perfect way, but this never happens. See, every day, some work was done, then another some work was done, then another some work was done. If it is a perfect steps, then that is a very nice team. They are doing super, but that's just utopia. But typically sometimes you will have this kind of a graph, sometimes you will have this. You will sprint to sprint, it will vary, but you will see, just like weather, sometimes it's sunny, sometimes it's rainy, sometimes it's half rainy, half sunny. You will see all sorts of in various sprints. It will never happen that you will have smooth sprints throughout the product. It will never happen. So there will be periods of good sprints, period of very bad sprints, period of recovery, like that. All these cycles will be there.
Sir, where in Jira we can find this chart?
Go to your Jira. Okay, let me show you. The reports. You have to go to reports. This is the okay. We just this is not, see, I just closed everything. This is just an example chart, right? So on the very first day when we opened the sprint, I just closed everything. So this is not how a chart looks like. That is why I did not show it to you. It will never happen, na? You just open a sprint and close the sprint. That's what we do, because I was trying to explain you those things. So
Okay.
I hope so. We started with 20 points and we burned it on this very day, same day. But this will never happen in real life.
Never. Yeah.
But this is where you can find this chart in the report.
This chart will be updated by the developers and the QAs, right?
Sorry?
This chart will be updated by the developers and the
This
QAs.
chart is going to be automatically populated by Jira.
Okay.
You don't have to do a thing. You just have to understand how this chart works. Yes, Sudipta ma'am.
Sir, I have a doubt. Like this chart, when do we publish it? Like in the retrospective or in a daily? Like when do we see this chart on a regular basis?
See, how do you track your sprint as a Scrum Master? You
Yes,
track
yes.
your sprint using this chart. That is one. You are looking at this chart on an everyday basis. So in the last 3-4 days, let us say something like this comes, a flat horizontal line. Then you will see, oh, why stories are not getting closed. Then you will look into it. Maybe it was a Saturday, Sunday, fine. But if it is not, it's a working day, and from last 3-4 days, nothing is. See, this tells you how many points are remaining. On day 4, 28 points are remaining. On day 8 also 28 points are remaining, which means why are stories not getting closed? So this you are track. So to track the sprint is what we read this chart. So and after the sprint is over, you will share it with the management also. In between also, there could be a call where they could ask you to show this chart.
Okay. So on a regular basis, like as a Scrum Master, I need to see like things are getting properly closed or not. Okay, this is my work. Okay.
80
Thank
or
you, sir.
80% organizations, most of the active Scrum Masters also don't know there is a chart like this. Don't worry. This is just for the interview.
Thank
In
you, sir.
real life, things work very differently. You will be very surprised. Some active Scrum Masters will not know how to translate this chart. What is that, Joey? Okay, fine. Whatever. A lot of people got into Scrum in the last, prior to from 17, 18 to 2022, those 3, 4, 5 years. Hardly much information was there on Scrum. So don't worry on this. But in companies who are doing it actively, at least in interviews, they could ask you here. So you should know how to answer those. What is a gray line? If a horizontal line comes, what do you mean by that? If there is a vertical line, what do you mean by that? Those are the basic questions. That's it. Yes, Wasim sir.
No, sir.
You got it right. Yeah, Abhilasha ma'am.
Sir, I have shared one screenshot. Can you please open? I just want to know like what that vertical lines meaning.
Where?
I mean, in the chat I have shared, it is from our sprint board from the
This
last
one?
to last. No, in chat, if you can open.
Okay, one sec.
I'm actually not able to understand what does this.
One second. Okay, this is your chart. Oh, okay. So the sprint started. I think all of you are able to see what Abhilasha shared. So your sprint started on July 22. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And it ended on August 4.
August 4th, yes.
Okay. Then
No, August 2nd.
okay, August 2nd. Okay, that's when blue line is the ideal this thing.
Guideline, it says.
Guideline is your blue line. Okay. So then your team started by either 45 or 46, something like that. They committed to the product owner that they are going to do 45 points of work. Okay, 45 or 46, whatever it is. And then they did not update anything till August 1st, which was the second last day of your sprint. Then they closed from 45 till it reaches to around 35. They closed, I think, 8 or 10 points of work. Then another day passed. Then on the second last day, they again closed quite a few stories. And then they dragged these stories to the next day, after the sprint, and they completed it on 4th of August. So again, team not updating Jira tickets. That could be one translation of this. The other translation could be they could be blocked. The other translation could be that they are taking huge stories. They might be taking, it is 46 points of work. They may be taking 2 stories only, 20 pointers or something like that. Then they're closing it suddenly. So there could be three interpretations of this. If you can show me your sprint report, I could tell you even more details on it. But this is basic interpretation of this chart.
And what does that vertical line near the 50.8?
Vertical line means on the second last day, see, till August 1st, how much work was remaining? 40, this is 38 points, something like that,
38.
correct?
Mhm,
38.
mhm.
Now, on August 1, how many points of work is remaining? Only 10 or 9,
10,
which
10.
means on this day, they closed 30 points of stories.
Okay.
On that day, they closed 30 points of work. Now, they could not have done all those 30 points on that day, right? So either they were not updating their Jira, they were closing this and things were getting done. Then suddenly on last day, they closed everything. That is one case. The other case is they could be doing a 13 pointer or a 20 pointer, and then they close those huge stories. That could be the other case. In both the cases, it's a problem. If they are doing a 20 pointer, that's a problem. They have to split it up. Or if they are suddenly closing it, then they are not updating their Jira tickets. That's also an issue. So it should be stepwise, like staircases are there. If that is the nature of the chart, that's a very good chart. This chart means there are some issues with the team. But the good thing is they are still completing work. So we can't be too critical.
Sir, in
Sir,
this
I
chart,
have but
sorry, sir, my question is about this chart. Okay, I mean everything it should complete on second. What is the second? Second August. It is showing in this chart. Means all sprint actually na activity. It should close on 2nd August.
Yes, and
Supposed
these guys did not close the sprint, looks like, on that day. Sprint
Okay.
was closed after 2 days.
Okay, that means blue line is ideal line, right?
Blue line is the ideal line.
Okay.
just sir, I have two doubts here. One is that on the on July 24th, there is a small vertical line. So that means some activity is done on that day, like logging of efforts, or what is it? But a very small one.
They added few stories and then maybe they removed it. They could have, see, we had only, see, if you look at this, we had 45 points to burn on the first day. Then somewhere on the first day or second day, they may have put some stories into that sprint and then they would have removed it. But it's not clear. It is confusing. It is confusing.
Okay.
So that is why if there is a scope creep, which means if they are adding stories in the middle of the sprint, then you don't use this chart to translate it. That is why you use the other chart, burn up chart, to understand if there is a scope creep. Because although you can sense there is, again, they added something here and then probably they would have removed it. So, but it's not very clear. It is confusing. So to understand this more clearly, you use burn up to understand the scope creep. You just use burn down to understand how many points of work is remaining. That's the only scope creep. Also, it can tell you if stories are added. Let me show you.
Okay.
One second.
Sir, one more question. Sorry. Okay, so in this chart, actually, that work, I mean, that sprint was not closed, right? In right time.
Yes, most likely that is the. There could be other reason also, but most likely that could be the reason. That is why it is showing that one more
Extra, right?
story
Yeah.
was done on the 12th day.
Yeah. Okay.
So can it happen that sprint is not closed on that day?
Yeah.
Then what will happen? Like
Nothing will
already read.
Nothing will happen. Ideally, it should not
Okay.
happen, but sometimes it's a national holiday or some other Scrum Master was on leave.
Yeah.
nothing drastic will happen.
Oh, so then the discussion next day it will be, because retrospective is the last event of the sprint. So that is happened, and then we wait for the next day for the people to join, and then we say the
So
sprint
on
is
the
closed
last
like
day
that
itself, we will ideally close the sprint.
on the retrospective day itself.
Yes, day 10, we will close the sprint. And then
Okay.
when we start on the next day, day 1, we will start the sprint.
Okay. Okay.
You got this, right?
Actually,
Yeah.
in this case, actually what was happened, sprint was supposed to close on Friday, but some testing work was remaining. So instead of a spillover, we closed it on
We said we'll close it on.
Monday once testing is done.
One look at this chart, you know what is
Yeah,
happening
right,
in
right.
the team. So I can easily, I mean, Scrum Masters come to me and they will give me all sorts of, so I'll say, show me your chart here. One look at the chart and I know what is happening in their team. And that's what I teach them. It's a great tool actually to use. Okay. Yes, can I go to the burn? Oh no, I think Mohammed
Yeah,
sir.
no, actually, in our organization, what happens, like nothing like this happens on the day. Suppose we have work remaining, they will say, okay, I'm closing the ticket today. I'm bringing it to the next sprint. And on that day only, they will close it. Like that, I never saw this
I have
one.
to
This is
eat
new to
boiled
me.
food, but no, I choose pizza. So yeah, I mean it's very difficult to be disciplined, right? So that is how
Uh,
it's not easy to see. These are whatever I am telling you. Agile is a very world-class practice, but to do it, it needs a lot of discipline. It needs a lot of support from the organization. So the people will not do it all the time, and frankly, will not do it all the time. But as long as some guidelines are there, the more you follow it, the more disciplined you are, the better your results will be. But again, you will not follow it all the time.
okay.
Okay, it's not a military year. Some last days there, and sometimes Scrum Masters would forget it and all that. We'll audit it and find out, and these things happen. Okay, yeah, Mohammed sir.
In that you showed few of the charts,
Boss,
right?
this is the easiest chart I'm showing you. There are other charts also. God knows what you are going to do in those charts. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, go ahead.
The last one, I need more clarity on the last one.
Which one?
In the set of charts that you showed, in that last one.
Okay, 1 second. Which chart? 1 sec. Where is this gone here? Okay. This chart?
Yes, correct.
This one?
Yes.
See, this is the ideal line. Now this our red line is above it, which means we are slower than the ideal line. But still, if you look at this on the third day, there is a steep up curve, which means till this on 24th of February, we had only 40 points to burn, which means from day 1 to day 3, we have burned 8 points of work. But suddenly on 24th of February, from 40 points, we were again back to burning 46 points. So a 5-pointer, most likely this is 41. My old eyes, I can't see it properly, but this could be 41 and 46. So a 5-pointer or a 3-pointer or a 2-pointer, something like this, stories may have been added. But again, this is little confusing. We are not sure, but it still gives you some idea that there is a scope creep. So we'll get into burn up. It will tell us more details on scope creep. So this is one. The other important part on this is that this is fine. This is slow, but still they are progressing well, and they finished it. So although they had a scope creep also, although they were going slow than the ideal rate, but still the team was very good. They were able to complete their tasks well in time, and they are consistently updating their Jira tickets also, and the stories are also smaller, which is why you see very few, everything is declining. There are very few horizontal lines. Horizontal flat lines are the problems.
Okay.
You got this now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sir, can we say that spike is that's
This
upward
spike.
moment is a that upward moment is a rework?
That upward movement is actually a scope creep. It is, they added few stories.
By any
But it's
chance,
not
that
very
cannot be a
clear.
rework.
But it is
By-
not very clear. So
Okay.
burn down chart gives you some indication of a scope creep, but it does not give a clarity. That is why we use a chart called burn up chart to understand if any stories were added in the middle of the sprint.
Okay.
You got
So
it?
by any chance, that cannot be a rework. Again, they are doing the.
No, this was just day 3, right?
Okay.
This was just day 3. Most likely it will be an addition of stories. Rework would actually typically happen on once the sprint is done. If you go to the stakeholders say, oh, this is crap. Or maybe on the day 7 or day 8, they say, oh, this is utter crap what we have built. Then you will still close that story. But you will open a new story to do some rework, even if there is a rework. Or you could have a spillover. In the review itself, they will say, I'm not going to close the story. You need few more things to do. You got this, right? Or do you?
Got it.
So spillover means this last vertical line won't be there. Or how does it look?
Spillover. Spillover looks like this.
Okay. Okay.
See, this line does not even reach here, which
Yeah.
means all these points we did not complete. This is a spillover.
Okay.
We had to do all. See, this red line has to reach 0. If it has not reached 0, which means we have not done our stories. Okay, let me go to the. What will you do in these charts then? Yeah, one sec. We'll get there. Wait. Oh, no. I need that chart here. I don't need DeepSeek. Okay, one sec. This burn up. No, this is a different chart. Did I lose? Burn up. Okay, this is burn up. Okay, this is a burn up chart now. This is in burn down. Burn down chart is, you already know now. Burn up chart is, instead of one line, now we have 2 lines. I hope it is visible to you guys. Can I check? Okay, now this has 2 lines. Instead of one red line, it has now, actually that had 2 lines, but main line was the red line and the gray line was just a ideal way. Again, this gray line is an ideal way, ideal rate of work, or but the real lines are red and green. This green line is the completed work. The burn down is primarily used by the Scrum Masters to track the sprint, how much work is remaining. This burn up chart is typically used by the release managers or the agile coaches to see whether scope creep happened or not, how much is the completed work versus planned work, was there any change in planning, those sorts of questions this chart will answer. So this has 2 lines, green and red. Green line shows you completed work, red line shows you how many stories were there in that sprint, whether there was any change to the story points or the stories which we have taken, any change. So if you look at this, we started on day 1, which was May 6th. We started with 28 points of work. On the very first day, they added a 2-pointer, which is okay. Then another one pointer was added. Again, no problem. Another one pointer was added. Another, so another one pointer was added. Then then there is a flat line, which is fine. Now, if you look at this from this on, this is middle of the sprint, they added 1, 2, 3, 4. Then they added something else. Then they added something else. All these dots are basically, they are adding something. So if you look at this, we started with 28, but we ended up with 35, which is not much. They took just one, maybe a 3-pointer or a 5-pointer or a 2-pointer. A couple of stories were being added, which is not a big deal. It is not a big deal. That sort of flexibility in a team should have. But now suddenly, if you see a spike, a vertical upwards line, a line from here to here, which means on the middle of the sprint, let us say this is at 30 points, suddenly it goes to 43. Which means on the 6th or 7th day, they added a 13-pointer. That is a big scope creep. That's a big problem. And typically, Scrum Masters can also use this chart to show it to the PO. PO wants to add something. You look at this. He will say, why did the team not complete anything? Boss, team did not complete anything because on day 5, you added few more stories. On day 8, you added more stories. So typically, the gap between, if you look at this gap, the gap should close down as we move along this x-axis. On day 1, the gap should be at its maximum, and then the gap should close down. In this case, if you look at the last day, the gap is still there, and you can explain this gap because the gap is, I think, 5 or 6 points, and this point because few things were more added. So now this green line, if you see the green line, it will tell you the stories which were completed on day 2. So we started with 0. Day 2, we completed 7 points. Then we completed 12 points. Then we completed so many points. Then in this period, we did not do anything. Probably we had already done, I think maybe this is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. This is Saturday, Sunday, or something like that. So we did not do anything. Then these dots means we closed more points. More point was closed. So green line shows you what are the stories that we are getting done. These tells you what are the stories that are being added in the middle of the sprint. Any scope creep is happening. So red line is your scope creep. Green line is your completed work. And the difference between burn down and burn up chart is burn down tells you how much work is remaining. Burn up tells you how much work we are doing on a day-to-day basis, and if there is any scope creep is happening or not. In burn down, there is only one line, remaining work. In burn up, there are 2 lines, completed work and the work scope. Those 2 lines. Burn down is primarily used by Scrum Masters to track a release, to track a sprint. Burn up is typically used by your agile coaches or release managers to see if there is any scope creep happening. Suppose the team was doing perfectly fine. So, but this line should be horizontal flat line, but it is seeing sudden spikes there. Obviously, the distance will increase because team is doing well, but you are adding more and more work, which means the team will not be able to complete its work. So this is more of a guideline to POs that they should not add more work. If they're adding more work, then they have to take away the lower priority items. If the lower priority items are taken, then you won't see the sudden spikes here. It will be a flat line. Okay, this is too much analysis now. For the interview purpose, this is enough that there are burn down and burn up charts. Burn down is to track sprints, how much work is remaining. There are 2 or 3 simple interpretations you saw. Burn up chart is a chart which tells you if there is any scope creep or not. There are 2 lines. Green line is completed work. Red line is scope creep. If sudden spikes are there in red line, it means work is getting added. And if there are horizontal green lines, which means the work is not getting done, there could be blockers. That's it. These 3-4 lines are enough for 90% of the interviews. Is this? Of course, if you want to dig deep, you can dig deep as much as possible. These are very interesting things. When we go to Kanban, there are even more interesting charts. I'm too much into it, so I'll try to be very brief. I'll not get into too many details, but enough details so that you. But if you want to research more on this, these are very interesting things to see. Yeah. This is clear. Burn up, burn down difference, and those two charts. Is this clear? Can I go further?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
And do not get confused. Very simple. Burn up, burn down. Only these 3-4 lines are important to you in the interview. What is the difference? How many? Burn down, remaining work, burn up, work completed, and work scope. 2 lines. That's all. And if there are ask you any details, you know the details also now. Okay, so let's go to release. Couple of other charts. Okay, one is the epic burn down. This is a very simple chart. So these epics will be owned by different product owners. You could be working with a team where it has 2, 3, 4 product owners, but typically 2 or maybe 3. There could be 1 BA, 1 product owners, and everybody would be having different epics. So they need to know what is happening to my epic. So epic burn down chart is a chart which is used to find out what is happening to each of the epics. One sec. So this is a why is not getting one sec. Where is the... You guys are still able to see my screen, right? Oh, okay. Okay. So this is a epic burn down chart. If you look at this chart, this epic started in this is on sprint 6. Sprint 6, you added some story points to it. So this epic has 15 points of work in sprint 6. In sprint 7, and you can see this color coding also. Is it showing you that color coding? Okay, maybe it's not. This is Jira. What a crap website they have made. Anyways, okay. So when they started this epic, they introduced this epic in sprint 6 and it had 15 points. Now in sprint 7, 2 points of work, 1 story of 2 points was done. So that is why -2. Now how much work is pending in epic? Epic burn down is a chart which is used to track how much work is pending in a particular epic. How much work is done and how much work is pending. So we introduced this this epic in sprint 6. We had 15 stories, 15 points of stories in this epic. Now in this sprint 7, we did 1 story of 2 points. So still 13 points of work is pending. In the next sprint, we did not take up any story for that epic, which is why there is no minus. But we added 1 story to this epic. Then in sprint 9, we did 1 3-pointer on this, and we added maybe a couple of 2-pointers or a 3-pointer or a 1-pointer here. Then in this last sprint or sprint 10, we did 3-pointer and a 1-pointer, 4 points of work, and remaining work is 12 points. So this you will sometimes apply it to the product managers are more interested in this. On an epic level, they are interested in how much these epics are basically your features. So they are interested to know how many points of work is my particular feature. So they would know, okay, this feature is 15 points. Okay, this sprint, this happened. So they will say, okay, we have only done maybe 3 or 4 stories in this epic. So a lot of work is pending. So epic burn down chart tracks the epic's progress. Again, you need to just remember this is a very simple chart. Epic burn down. Do you know sprint burn down, you know sprint burn down. Similarly, now you know epic burn down chart, which tells you the progress of a particular epic through the various sprints. How many story points were added, how many story points were deducted. You can do a quick Google, you can see all those charts. In fact, if you do a create project in your Jira, you can also find it in reports. Now let me show you a release burn down chart. Tomorrow we will start your, I think either Kanban or I have to go through the principles of Agile and Scrum. Either of these two. Where is the release burn down? One second.
Sir, principle of agile means only agile manifesto. Like, is it same?
Yes. But for each principle, you have to give a real-time example that how you use that principle in real life. Then it will become a very qualitative answer. So, for example, one of the principles is that business and technical team should work hand in hand, or there should be a complete collaboration between business and the technical team. So how do you translate this? You translate this by telling it to the PO that PO has to be available for the entire day, for all the activities. He should be there available on a day-to-day basis for any clarification with either POs or with either devs or QAs. And he has to be there in all the events because he has a very important role to play. So that is the meaning of that principle. So no theory. You have to tell in practical terms what is the meaning of those principles. If you tell theory, then that's theory, man. I mean, you still need, sometimes these people will expect you to know these principles also. And you have to know these principles, 12 principles, 4 values, and 6 Scrum principles and empirical process control. Those things you have to remember. Yeah. Can't help it. Because see, you have to remember, but ultimately you are not remembering it. You are showing that you have 5 or 6 years of experience. If you are doing 5 or 6 years of experience, you would know these things by heart, isn't it? So if you are not even aware of principles, then that's dodgy. So you have to. Okay, wait. I will get you the.
Thank you, sir.
You got it now. Oh, okay. One second here. I'm just opening a release. Similar to Epic burn down is the release burn down. That's also a simple chart. Okay. Exact same chart, but it's just called the release burn down. Why it is important when we'll do the release planning, we'll see. Okay. If you look at this, this is some release they are showing. Okay. So this release, how many sprints this release has? This is a release burn down chart. How many releases, how many sprints this release has? 12. So most likely, maybe if it is a 1 week sprint, it is a 3-month release. If it is a 2-week sprint, then it is a 12 into 2, 24 weeks. 24 weeks is roughly your 6-month release. So let's say this is a 3-week, 6-month release only. Let's assume, or maybe let's assume it's a 3-month release, 1 week sprint. So this is on a release level. We started in sprint 1, nothing. We most likely we were just preparing for it. POs were preparing all this. It's a dead sprint. Okay. Sprint 1. We call it a dead sprint where we were preparing things and we were not doing it. Some people call it sprint 0 and they don't register it on Jira. Some people call it sprint 1 and don't show anything. But in that sprint, you were most likely preparing these stories and all the prep work. So sprint 2, they added 39 points of work. in this release. Now this release has 12 sprints. In release 2, they added 39 points of work. In sprint 3, they did 7 points of work. That is why -7. -7 means this is the green thing is the work done. How much work was done? 7 points of work. And 6 more points of work was added to this release. Then same way, next releases, if you look at in the middle of this release, so now they added 6, 6, 8, 12 points, 0.5 they are adding. So if you look at this, they are not adding much. This is a decent release. If suddenly if they would have added things here, then it would have been a scope creep. So now if you look at this, the work is getting done. In the middle of this release, in the 2-3 sprints, lot of work was done. And then suddenly in the last sprints, not many stories were getting done. In fact, in the last 2 sprints, not much. In fact, last 3 sprints, not much work was getting done. For these 3 weeks, I'm assuming these are 1 week sprints. Can anybody tell me the reason why I don't see story points in the last 2 or 3 sprints in a particular release? So this is a release. Release means I have divided the work into 12 sprints. And once the work is over, once your stories are ready, then after the end of sprint 12, we will push all that code into production. Release is nothing but when you are pushing your code to production. Release is a fancy word of saying that you are pushing your code to production. If you new features or enhancements or major code, small bugs here and there, if you are pushing, that's not, that is also a minor release or a hot fix. But your major release is when you are pushing out a lot of stories. We'll discuss this in detail. But for now, can anybody tell me last 2 or 3 sprints, why no stories were getting done? And why this is how a typical release burn down chart will look like. It will look like stories were added, then stories were getting done. Then suddenly in the last 1 sprint or 2 sprints, no stories were getting done. Why?
Might be all these stories are done and team is working on regression or something.
Beautiful. Yeah, that's the answer. So in the last 1 or 2 sprints, you ideally in real life, you will not do any stories. Once all these stories are completed, then a combined test of all these stories are done, which we call regression testing. On a release level, you are doing the testing. So individually, the stories might have been tested throughout the sprint, but once all the things are done, let us say we had 50 stories in this release. So once all these 50 stories are done, then you would do a combined testing of all these 50 stories. That is why no story is getting done. The last 1 or 2 sprints, you will keep for regression or a release level testing. You could call it different names, but bottom line is everything is tested at a release level. Yes, Priyanka.
So, in that release burn down chart, we showed how many story points are there in total. So, generally, when we are planning the sprints, we do it on a sprint basis. No, how do we calculate for all the 12 sprints at the start that these many story points are?
Correct.
So, but how are we calculating that? Because generally we will not do the story. I mean, the story not do the story points assigning at the start, right? It will be
No,
one or
see,
2 sprints we are doing.
No, I didn't get your question. See, this is a release burn down chart. It tells me on a release level what is happening. This is a 12-week release. Okay. So on a release level, in sprint 2, I had 40 points of work which I had to do. Correct? Is this at this point is clear?
Okay, this is for sprint 2 only, 30 points.
This is for sprint. See, this is not for sprint 2 only. This is on a release level, how many points I have to do. On a release level. So it's not on a sprint level. This is on a release level. So let us say I have 2 features to do. Okay. And I say, and we are going to move these 2 features in production after 3 months. So this is a 3-month release. So this, so 3 months is 12 weeks, correct? So I will divide the work into 12 parts. So each part is my one sprint,
Yeah.
correct? So sprint 1 to sprint 12. In sprint 1, I did not do anything. In sprint 2, I added 39 points of work to my release. This is not on a sprint level. This, I am not talking about how much work is done in this sprint. This is just that we added 39 points of work to our release. We said we are going to do 39 points of stories in this release, which is a 12-week release. Okay. Then we came to sprint 3. In sprint 3, the team did only 7 points of work. You got this? So they did 7 points of work. That was their velocity. So how much work is now? And we added 6 points. So no, this one. So we did 7 points of work, and we added 6 more points to this release.
So 32 is how many story points we added in the
32 is
sprint
how
two.
many story points are remaining. This dark blue is how many points are added. Light blue is how many are remaining. There are 3 colors here. Light green tells you how much work was done in that sprint from a release point of view. And light blue is how many points of work is pending. Dark blue is how many points of work is added.
So that is what I'm asking. 39 is your total story points for including all 12 sprints.
Yes, these are the 39 points which we have to do in all these 12 sprints.
So these 39 points, the story points which we assign, we generally do for few features, right? We don't do it for the full release at one go.
No, we do it for the. So this is why it is not. See, that is why we did not do it for one go. We added 39 here, then we added 6, then we added 6, then we added 8, then we added 11.5, then we added 8.5. See, we are adding these points, these stories to those features from sprint 2 to sprint 7th.
We are adding it.
See, these 39 points must be probably 8 or 10 stories, or maybe 7. Let us assume these were 7 or 8 stories. Then you added 2 stories here. Then you added 2 stories here. Then you added 2 stories here. Then you added 3 or 4 stories here. Then you added 2 stories here. Because like you said, you are not going to start, you will not have stories ready at the first go. You will keep adding. And then when the release is about to end, then you are not adding, because if you add now, then where is the time to do all those things?
And how are we calculating the velocity here?
Velocity is, we did 7 points of work, we did 4.5 points of work, we did 9.5, we did 21, we did 17. These green things are the work which was completed by the team in that sprint, completed stories.
Yeah.
Got it?
Yeah.
Yes, Venkatesh sir.
Sir, suppose the release is, if you want to deliver a payment feature, we are talking with that perspective, right?
Yes.
This feature is like a payment feature. We had 39 story points of work with respect to that feature. So we are releasing
it was a payment feature. Out of that payment features, in sprint 2, we created 6 or 7 stories and added it to this. Then we again created 1 story here, 2 story here, then 3 stories here. We keep adding till this point, and then we say we don't want to add, because now if we add anything, then we'll be done. We will not have time to do it.
Right. Okay, sir.
Okay.
And that Epic is like maybe a login feature.
Or a
login.
payment gateway, or a menu discovery, or whatever.
Whatever. Okay.
Any capability which you are adding to the product.
So there is something here, right? 2 sprints remaining. What is that, sir? Right side.
So this is just showing you based on your velocity for the last 3 sprints, it will take 2 more sprints to complete this epic. This is showing on a, this is actually a release burn down. This is an incorrect wording they are showing here. Don't worry about that. On an epic level, this guy is calculating it. Let me show you another release burn down. Yeah, same thing. This is another release burn down. Again, see, we added 22 points, added 22 points. No, actually 22 points were added. This was done. Then this is really, this is a typical, this is sprint 1 of that release. Then let me show you another one. Actually, this is burn down chart. Where is the release one? This is another. This is another epic. I think this looks like a burn down to me. Another. See, 37 was the original estimation. Then sprint. This is a little different one because see, this time they added points to the release earlier. I'll show you how to create a release also and how to do all these things also in a separate session. So let us say this is 37 points. Now in this sprint 1, they added 59 points of work here. 25 was already remaining because see, this is 37. They did 12 points here. What is remaining is 25 and they added 59. Now in the next sprint, they did not add anything. So now they something like 84 was pending here, 59 and 25. Now we did 39 and 45 was pending. Then so these charts are basically used by your management to look at how much release managers and management, how much work is pending, how much work was added. So on sprint 1, these many tickets were added by the PO. Sprint 2, nothing was added, but this much was done by the team and this much is remaining. So this is the release managers are basically, you are not going to be using it too much, but release managers are going to be using it. But you will be, if you are doing the release management, then of course you will need this chart. So they tell you, so let us say I have 100 points of work to do in a particular release. So I need to know at the start of my release, let us say I had 100 points of work. Now, how much is getting added in each sprint? How much is getting done? This is, we need to know whether the release is on target or not. That is the main purpose of this release point. And again, it's a very simple chart, nothing fishy about it. Is this clear? Can I go further? So we did release burn down, we did epic burn down, we did sprint burn down, we did sprint burn up. These are your 4 JIRA charts. We did a velocity chart also. So these are your 5 JIRA charts. Apart from these 5 JIRA charts, there is something called cycle time. There is something called lead time. There is something called CFD. Those 3 charts we will do it in Kanban. So you will cover about 8 charts and those should be enough. Okay. Then But typically these days they don't expect you to release burn down is a very simple chart. But the tricky part is how do you report your releases? So you report your releases, you have to create a dashboard. So dashboards is the name of the game these days. They may ask you in the interview also, do you know how to create Jira dashboards and all? So I will show you how can you track your release by creating a dashboard. That I'll show you practically. Otherwise, and then we'll create a release and then track it through a dashboard. Yes, Abhilasha.
There is one more option for sprint report.
Sprint report. Sprint report basically tells you how many stories you have done, how many are pending, what was removed from that sprint, what was added to that sprint. There is no chart in it. That just tells you, okay, you had 10 stories in this sprint, 4 were added, 2 were subtracted, 6 were done. That's a very simple one.
Okay.
And that's not very complicated. Okay, is this clear? Can we wind up for today? Is there any question?
So where do we see these dashboards in Jira?
No, where do we see these reports in Jira?
Reports in Jira.
So you go to a tab called reports, you click on that. I showed it a while back. I will show it again if you want it. By the way, which means you guys haven't made your free Jira account.
Oh, we have made.
You have made, na? So go use it and then play around with the tabs. And in fact, see, this is your board. There is an option called reports here. Then you click on that, you will see burn up, burn down velocity, CFD, cycle time, deployment frequency. This we have covered, this we have covered, this we have covered. These two I will cover.
Okay, and Epic burn down and
Epic is not shown because it might not be configured. So you can add it. So based on the Jira configuration, you can add a few more charts to this. Okay. So, but these are good enough to clear the interview. More than good enough. This is all the details you need. People make all sorts of crazy dashboards. Sometimes go to YouTube and see those crazy dashboards. Really crazy.
So will they ask us on dashboards also?
I will show you. Don't worry. I just touched upon a release burn down because it's a very easy chart. It just tells you 100 points I have to do in this release. In sprint 2, I added 20 points. I did 40 points. That's all. But how do you how do you plan for a release? So as a Scrum Master, you should know how will you plan for a release, how you will do the estimation, what are the things you will take into consideration, how will you raise the risks, how will you show the plan, then how will you track the release, all those things, how will you create the one thing is to plan for the release, then you have to create a release in Jira, then you have to track the release in Jira, then you have to close the release in Jira, then you have to report the release. So all those things we'll do in the release management session.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, Kiran is all serious today. What happened?
Nothing, just listening actually.
This is fine. You are.
Yeah, I'm playing around. Once I have to practice, then only I can understand completely.
Yes. See, these sessions, you have to go through the session again, then open your Jira, click on the reports, see what Jira has to say, then figure out. But basic things I have told you that what you have to tell in the interview. Burn up, burn down. Burn down to track sprint, burn up to find if there is any scope creep happening or not. Burn down has one thing, burn up has two things. How will you track the releases? Release burn down chart is one of the ways. Release burn down chart is used to, they will not get into too many details in the interview. So if they ask you, how do you track releases? You say release burn down. How many reports you know? There is a velocity report. there is a really sprint burn down, there is sprint burn up. Suddenly they will ask you, in sprint burn down, do you know what is a gray line for? Yes, gray line is an ideal line. So how do you read that line? So if suddenly if there is a horizontal line, what will you do? Horizontal line means that team is not either closing its stories or there might be a blocker. I will check that. So those are the kind of questions that they can ask. What is the difference between these two charts? How do you track a epic? How many? So epic, again, you have a chart. It has 3 color coding. Light blue will tell you how much work is pending. Dark blue will tell you how much work is added. Green will show you how much work we did on that particular epic. An epic burn down and release burn down are similar. So this is the basic of everything. These 4, 5, 6 lines you should know. Those are enough. The rest of the things I told you to clear a very good interview. For 80-90% interviews, these 5, 6, 7 lines are enough. It's like, it used to happen. Oh, I just studied for 5 days and I got 80%. If I would have studied for 15 days, I would have got 98%. But doesn't work like that, right? It's easy to get 80% by studying 10 days, but if you want 99%, you are not going to get after studying for 10 days. It will take 6 months, 10 months. So if you really, really want to crack a good company, then you need to get into details. But it will come step by step. First, get the basics right. So some people will ask me, what is JQL? JQL is Jira query language. Hang on, yeah. So there are few people who will, the very second day or third day of the session, sir, why don't you tell us about JQL? Arey, how do I tell you about JQL? Hang on, step by step we'll get it. So first you get the basics done. Nobody is going to make you write queries in JQL here. But basics should be clear. Difference between burn down, burn up. When do you use what? Release burn down, when do you use? Epic burn down, when do you use? And then how do you use velocity chart? How do you interpret these charts? Those basics are good enough. Yes, Deepak.
Yeah, so like in my previous organization, we were using Jira, but in current organization, we are using Azure DevOps.
Azure may have some customized reports also. Some basic. So I think basic burn down, burn up will be there. I'm not 100% sure.
So if we know the basics, we can tell that we have used both the tools, or is it advised only to tell Jira?
Yeah, 70-80% of the organizations use Jira. Okay, so if you tell that you know Jira, and if they ask you questions on Jira, you are able to answer them, it's good enough.
So no need Azure DevOps.
If you don't know Azure DevOps, it's not a make or break. They are not going to judge you for that. But if you say that you know Jira and then you are not able to answer these simple questions, then that's not good. If you say you know Jira, then you should be able to answer these questions on the charts. And
so like we can say that in Azure DevOps also similar features are there, like burn down, burn up. It is customized, we can say like that.
It is customized. I would say if you are interested in that, just do a quick Google, see what all different options are. Basics remain same. Yes, Sudipta.
Yeah, so I have a couple of things to say. First is like in that resume session. By the way, I have sent you my resume yesterday. So if you get some time, kindly check. And another, yeah. So in the feedback, I gave one mock interview. So there it was mentioned like instead only don't write Jira, go through Azure or Tableau, add those keywords as well because you are writing only Jira. So just want to know like similar only, right?
It helps.
Tableau also same only. I was going through one YouTube video like trying to understand because I have used only Jira. So the same kind of thing. Okay, that's all because I don't have experience with Azure or Tableau like that.
No, but see, if Jira you are very comfortable, then you can work with other tools also.
And one more thing, sir, you mentioned JQL. Do Scrum Masters need to know JQL or all that?
I'll show you. At least basic simple you can use, but
Because
very basic. Yeah, don't worry about it. I'll show you how to use it.
because in our QA means in testing for we add filters for bug like in this release this many bugs
That's all.
for the that is
So there is an
okay.
advanced
From
version
that
where you don't have to write those queries also. You
uh-huh.
can use a UI and
Yeah,
click
we
on.
just choose like who is the user, what is the version. Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, Chavan sir. What happened? You turned into Terminator. There's a lot of.
What is that sound?
I don't know. He's learned a new AI language. He's trying.
AI took over him.
Maybe you can put it in the chat, I think.
You can put that question in the chat. Today is Thursday, not Friday. Okay, why are you making me wake up so much? No, this is good. No, sir, no, Chavan sir. These songs we don't understand, yeah. No, put it in the chat, na. Or just unplug your mic and put it back, something like this. Or no worries, I'll answer your question tomorrow. No worries. Okay, I'll just send a quick poll and then we can wind up. Chavan sir, we'll do this your question tomorrow in case you are not. We'll still wait. I have just launched a poll. No. You're still singing the song we don't understand.
Sounds
No
like
worries,
a Terminator movie.
PC sir, tomorrow, yeah, don't worry. But please remember the question or put it in the chat. One of two things. We listen to your AI songs today. Nice. Okay. No worries. Can we do this tomorrow, Chavan sir? We can do your questions tomorrow, right? Okay. My subway is ready now. I'm hungry. Oh, resume we'll do it tomorrow. Tomorrow is Friday. We'll do it here. Okay. Take care, yeah, guys. See you. This is fine. Bye.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.